welcome back to Travel in Chinese. I'm your host, Mark Rosewell, also known as Dashan. In this series, we've been talking a lot about food. As the characters in our dialogues are based in Beijing, naturally they went out for a meal of Beijing Kao Ya, Peking duck. But they also went to a Sichuan restaurant, Chuan Cai Guan, and had dishes like Gong Bao Ji Ding, that's a spicy diced chicken dish, or Ma Po Doufu, that's a spicy bean curd dish. Well, one of the most popular dishes in Beijing, especially during the cold winter months, is shuanyang rou. That's a lamb hot pot. It's often called Mongolian hot pot in English because it originates in the north of China. Actually, there are many different styles of hot pot. Today, let's watch Xiao Jie and Liu Yong as they go out for a meal of shuanyang rou, lamb hot pot.
喂，小王啊，好，待会儿我们再联系。好的，再见。
哎，姑姑，你刚才给谁打电话了？
啊，是我的一个朋友，我们刚才一起去吃火锅了。
火锅？那是什么？是不是锅里有火，我们从火里往外加菜？
这哪跟哪儿啊？完全不是这么回事儿。看来啊，得让表哥带你去见识一下。
那你让他快点带我去吧。
别急，我给他打个电话。好，行。 好吧，好嘞，我知道了。好，再见。
表哥说什么？
他说他明天从学校回来就带你去，到时候还有他的一个同学和你们一块儿去。
你明天不和我们去吗？
我明晚要加班，你们好好玩，多吃点。
这是我表妹小杰，这是我同学。
你好，我叫小杰。你好，
那咱们
走吧。
好。
请问要什么锅底？
你吃辣的吗？
不吃，受不了。
那我们来个鸳鸯锅底吧。
鸳鸯是一种鸟吧？
在这里，鸳鸯锅底的意思就是一个锅里装2种锅底，中间分开。
锅底不一样，涮出的肉味道也不同。
哦，原来是这样啊！
这里的羊肉啊特别好，没有膻味儿，咱们尝尝。
要点羊肉、牛肉，叫点青菜。
豆腐、粉丝、白菜，2盘羊肉，再加1盘牛肉。
请问3位用什么调料？
你们这有什么调料？
香油、麻酱、海鲜的
3碗香油的吧。
好的，请稍等，马上就来。
啊，一半白，一半红，真好看。
锅都开了，咱们往里放吧。
肉变色了，熟了，快加吧，趁热吃好吃。
热乎乎的，真好吃。
Okay, let's go over the dialogue part by part. What is hot pot anyway? 火锅 literally means fire pot. 是不是锅里有火? Is there fire in the pot? Well, there has to be some kind of heat source, but there are many different styles of hot pot. Old-fashioned Beijing hot pot is a round donut-shaped pot surrounding a small charcoal fire. Nowadays, gas and electric heat are also used. They're more convenient and they're less polluting. 哪儿跟哪儿啊? This is a colloquial expression to show that you don't agree with what has just been said. 哪儿跟哪儿啊? It's like saying, it sounds like nonsense to me. These two things don't go together.
火锅？那是什么？是不是锅里有火，我们从火里往外加菜？
这哪跟哪儿啊？完全不是这么回事儿。看来啊，得让表哥带你去见识一下。
要什么锅底? What kind of base do you want for your hot pot? Well, Different styles of hot pot have different soup bases, what we call 锅底. Sometimes the base is very simple, just hot water and a few simple ingredients like green onions or fresh ginger. Other styles of hot pot have a very rich or spicy broth.
请问要什么锅底？
你吃辣的吗？
不吃受不了。
那我们来个鸳鸯锅底吧。
Now, if you can't choose between a spicy or a plain broth, the 鸳鸯锅底 is a common compromise. 鸳鸯are Mandarin ducks. These animals are known for staying with the same partner for their whole lives, so they're a symbol of happy matrimony. 鸳鸯火锅. This is a hot pot that's divided into two halves, one half with a spicy broth and the other with a mild broth. 一个锅里装两种锅底. To put two soup bases, 锅底, in one pot, 锅. 中间分开, separated in the middle. That way, each person can choose which flavor they prefer, or they can even try both. 涮出的肉味道也不同. The meat tastes different after cooking in a different base. 涮 is to scald, to cook something by dipping it in boiling water. No matter what kind of hot pot you have, the food is cooked by 涮, dipping in boiling water or soup.
鸳鸯是一种鸟吧？
在这里，鸳鸯锅底的意思就是一个锅里装两种锅底，中间分开。
锅底不一样，涮出的肉味道也不同。
You also have a choice of dipping sauces, 调料, to use after the food is cooked. 香油, sesame oil, and 麻酱, sesame sauce are two common choices. Now here the 海鲜 refers to a seafood dipping sauce, not fresh seafood. As a general rule of thumb, the more spicy the broth is, the milder the dipping sauce is. For hot pots with a very mild broth, stronger dipping sauces are often used.
请问三位用什么调料？
你们这有什么调料？
香油、麻酱、海鲜的。
3碗香油的吧。
肉变色了，熟了. This is a good general rule. When the meat changes color, it's done. Red meat becomes whiter when it's cooked in water. Since the ingredients are sliced thinly, they should cook fairly quickly. It doesn't take more than a minute or even less. Other ingredients, like the tofu, can stay in the broth for a longer time. But if you leave meat too long, it'll become tough and less pleasant to eat. 趁热吃, eat it while it's hot. 趁 means to take advantage of an opportunity. 趁热 means while something is hot. 趁热吃, eat it while it's hot. Okay, let's watch that part of the dialogue again.
肉变色了，熟了，快夹吧，趁热吃好吃。
热乎乎的，真好吃。
Okay, now let's relax a little bit. You know, if you visit Beijing, especially outside of the hot summer months, you really should try 火锅. Most people call this hot pot. Others call it a chafing dish or Chinese fondue. 火锅 literally means fire pot. 是不是锅里有火? Is there fire in the pot? Well, of course, there has to be some kind of heat source. But there are many different styles of hot pot. Old-fashioned Beijing hot pot is almost like a donut shape surrounding a charcoal fire. So the charcoal fire is in the round belly of the pot, surrounded by a ring of boiling broth. Nowadays, of course, gas and electric heat are also used. They're much more convenient and less polluting. Some restaurants now use a smaller size of hot pot so that each person has their own pot. These are usually just small, flat-bottomed dishes heated by a can of fuel that can be ignited with a candle or match. This is closer to the Western style of fondue, although the ingredients would be the same as traditional Beijing hot pot. It's fun to cook your own meal this way, and there's a huge variety of ingredients that you can try. Just make sure you don't eat any of the dishes raw, and sterilize your chopsticks in the pot too. Now let's take a closer look at some language points in today's dialogue. For example, 受不了, can't handle or can't bear, can't stand something. Here's an example. 坐24个小时的火车，小孩子可受不了。Little children can't bear taking a train for 24 hours. That's too long for them to stand. 坐24个小时的火车，小孩子可受不了。Here's another example. 我受不了这么冷的天气。I can't bear such cold weather. 我受不了这么冷的天气。 Okay, here's another language point. 趁. This means to take advantage of an opportunity. For example, 他趁我不注意把我的包拿走了. He took advantage of when I wasn't looking, when I wasn't paying attention. Took advantage of this to take my bag away. 他趁我不注意把我的包拿走了. Here's another example. 趁着在中国旅游的机会，他认识了很多中国朋友. He took advantage of his travels in China to make many Chinese friends. 趁着在中国旅游的机会，他认识了很多中国朋友. Okay, let's go back to the dialogues now and see how these language points were used there.
请问要什么锅底？
你吃辣的吗？
不吃受不了。
那我们来个鸳鸯锅底吧。
鸳鸯是一种鸟吧？
在这里，鸳鸯锅底的意思就是一个锅里装2种锅底，中间分开。
锅底不一样，涮出的肉味道也不同。
哦，原来是这样啊！啊，一半白一半红，真好看。
锅都开了，咱们往里放吧。
肉变色了，熟了，快夹吧，趁热吃好吃。
热乎乎的，真好吃。
There's a very interesting phrase that came up in today's dialogue that would be useful for some substitution exercise. That's 哪儿跟哪儿. This literally means where and where. It means you've taken two things that don't go together and you've put them together. It's nonsense. This is a colloquial expression to show that you don't agree with something or something that's just been said. That's nonsense. 哪儿跟哪儿啊? Let me show you an example. 哪儿跟哪儿啊? 这是我妹妹，不是我的女朋友. What are you talking about? This is my sister, not my girlfriend. 哪儿跟哪儿啊? 这是我妹妹，不是我的女朋友. Okay, let's try some substitutions now with 哪儿跟哪儿啊?
这哪儿跟哪儿啊？我都不认识他，怎么可能知道他的电话号码？
这哪儿跟哪儿啊？我都不认识他，怎么可能知道他的电话号码？
这哪儿跟哪儿啊？他说的是法语，根本不是英语。
这哪儿跟哪儿啊？他说的是法语，根本不是英语。
In today's lesson, we've been talking a little bit about hot pot. Well, there are many different styles of hot pot. What we learned about today is one called 鸳鸯火锅. That's where you have in the same pot, but in different sections, a spicy broth and a plain broth. Now, many people like to eat 羊肉, lamb, in their hot pot. Others prefer beef, 牛肉, or seafood, 海鲜. You can cook just about anything in a hot pot, but remember, 趁热吃, eat it while it's hot. Well, that's it for hot pot. In our next lesson, we're going to go and see what kind of midnight snacks we can find.